This might be a hot take. Superstore, the POI itself is fine. It's not great. It's not the MFAM barbecue.
They've changed little things and a lot of those little things. It does not feel like Verdansk Superstore at all to me. At all.
It really doesn't.
It does nothing for me. It feels like a good POI on the map. Does not feel like Verdansk Superstore whatsoever.
And that's what I wrote. It feels almost nothing like it did in Verdansk. It does not make me nostalgic at all.
Yeah, 100%. That's how I feel.
We are live! Boys and girls, welcome to The Dropshot, Call of Duty Podcast, episode number 445. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. Today I am joined by Tanner in his landmark shirt.
Okay.
And we have quite the sode for you today.
Yeah,
fellas.
got a little sode, huh?
Quite the sode, fellas, and your
That's what they're saying.
sisters, moms, girlfriends, wives, old ball and chains,
and
balls
Nicole.
and chains, and Nicole. W Nicole. Today we're talking season 5. We're doing things a little differently than we normally do post new season. Basically, we're going to go over the patch notes briefly because we've already talked about most of season 5 in our last episode, in which we covered the roadmap. That is where most of the new info was. But we're going to go through the patch notes still for all the things we haven't learned yet. We got some news and upcoming changes, not too much to talk about there. And then we're going to talk about our first impressions of season 5, the good, the bad, and the neutral, not in that order. And as a reminder, quickly, before we get into that, we do have a couple of announcements today in today's episode. Not going to go over them yet, but stick around toward the end of the episode if you do want to hear the announcements. We've got our Rebirth Customs tournament coming up for all our patrons. We got some new patrons. We got some other little things to talk about. Stick around till the end to hear those. Now, let's get right into it because I want to talk about season 5. We've been waiting for this season for quite a while.
Since season 4, yeah. At least a season.
Basically since season 4, unfortunately, yeah. That is kind of where we've been. If you listen to our last Patreon episode, we talked about season 4 in review. And it was a good season. It just wasn't very fresh, fun, and exciting. So was season 5 so far? Let's find out by looking at the patch notes. So we're going to start with the general patch notes. These apply to multiplayer and zombies. And as we said, we've talked about most of what we've gotten from season 5 already when we went over the roadmap. So not going to spend too much time on this, other than the things that are new information that was not in the roadmap. So we got the new maps. I will talk about these briefly. So Bait and Yard are both maps, 6's maps. So surprisingly, I actually prefer the bigger new 6's map to the smaller one. The smaller one is called... They're both pretty good, actually. The smaller one is called Yard. It's not as small as it looked like when we were going over the roadmap. That's one thing I'll say. It's a decent size, actually. But it's kind of boring. It doesn't have much going on for it. Like when we got Stash House, for example, that's like a good map, and it has character, in my opinion. It's one of those maps where you're like, this could be like an instant classic. Like it feels like something. Whereas Yard's bigger, to be fair, but it's still pretty small. But it's not, I don't know, something's missing. It doesn't have it. It's like a 6 or 7 out of 10 map. It's fine. There's nothing
It looks
really
kind of ugly
wrong with it. It's pretty ugly.
That's probably what it is. That's probably why you're not liking it. Kind of like Rust ugly, right?
Not that bad. No. Well, aesthetically, yes. The
That's what I'm
visibility
talking
is
about.
not terrible like Rust, though.
Yeah.
But yeah. Just purely aesthetically, not great looking. But more than that, I don't know what it is. I don't dislike it. I don't love it, though. Bait, on the other hand, which is the bigger New Sixes map in multiplayer, is really fun. I actually really like this map. Pretty classic, standard 3-lane design. Mid, like where the B flag is, it's really good on Dom. I got a couple Dom matches and they were really fun. And that middle area where B flag is really well designed. There are quite a few ingresses. I used the wrong word. I had said egress a couple episodes ago. I meant ingress. Ingress is where you go in. Egress is where you go out. Obviously, you could do both anywhere in a video game, but like an exit would be like an egress. Anyways, a lot of ways to enter the area, but also enough cover, but not too much visual clutter. It's a fine balance, but they figured it out. And on one of the lanes, there's like a little like cubby you can like crouch and walk through, but it's not 100 meters long like Rust, where you can just get stuck duck walking like a butthole for the whole game. They didn't make that mistake again. It's like a meter long. So it's really a cute little area. I quite like Bait a lot more than I expected to. It's really fun. Did you play either of these two maps?
No, I haven't played multiplayer.
Yeah,
Bait looked like the better one.
Yeah,
from the start, though, for sure. That's what we had kind of figured it was going to be. I just like that aesthetic better.
It's smaller, but yeah, Bait's also a pretty map too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can go in the water. I didn't see anyone in it ever. So.
Oh, really? Yeah, we had talked about how it looked like you couldn't go too far into it. Like it was maybe just a very small amount of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, people might just not even bother or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if you literally can't, but no one ever was in it. And I played that playlist for quite a while. So anyway, yeah, pretty good, pretty fun map. And then this is not a big deal, but I'll mention it briefly. The variants, the cell shaded variants, they look really cool in screenshots, and they do look really cool in game if you're paying attention. But you quickly realize you are never looking at the map if you're playing an FPS game. Like I played Cell Ship, and I like didn't even notice until like halfway through the match. Because you're like looking for people and it's the same layout. So like you're not really going to notice it unless you're actually paying attention. And enemy operators, or other operators, I should say, also do not stand out or look like really cool cell shaded like they do like they did in the screenshots in game. You don't even notice it again, unless you're like paying attention, which is unfortunate, but that is not the devs' fault. That's just how it is when you play like an FPS game. It's not distinct enough to be noticeable. Whereas if you make Scrapyard from daytime to nighttime and then put giant floating bioluminescent jellyfish in the sky, you'll notice that. That's something you just can't not notice. But in this case, it's really cool looking. It's just... it's too subtle to be noticeable, like while you're actually, playing a game with a 5 millisecond TTK. Yeah. So, that was kind of disappointing, but it's not really anyone's fault. It's just how it goes, I guess. But it's still cool, if you are paying attention, I guess. But anyway, regardless, moving on from that, there are new game modes. Haven't played them, probably won't be. And won't be talking about them. There are also new weapons, which we will not talk about yet. We will talk about those when we get to the Warzone patch notes. And then there are new aftermarket parts as well. So for this week... oh my
God. Yeah. Did you see that one clip of this?
I've seen it in game 1,000 times, but no, I didn't see any clips. Surprisingly, I've seen it in game. Yeah. So there are a bunch of aftermarket parts. Week 1 is the Jack Widemouth barrel, which is an aftermarket part for the Moore sniper rifle that turns it into a blunderbuss. Actually, like an 18th century shotgun where you put a bunch of balls into a tube and then you stuff it down with gunpowder and then you just throw a match in it, like we're fighting the Civil War. But
it's like the gun in Sea of Thieves, if you guys
sniper.
have ever played.
So, okay.
Yeah, it makes no sense, right? How they did it that way.
It's insane, yeah.
It's horrendous as well. It's like actually really, 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 really bad. Yeah, just possibly maybe a bottom 5 aftermarket part, and there are a lot of bad ones. So bottom 5, it seems like. Maybe bottom 3. It's horrible. I've saw so many clips of it. Yeah, and there's this one. The guy got so many hit markers. He just kept getting hit markers. It also has like 50 velocity, it looks like. I don't know.
That's how it appeared. And I won't be, but yeah.
Not good. Don't use it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And we told you that before it came out. We already knew. But yeah, it's terrible. And the spread on it is absolutely miserable from what I saw. Because when other people shoot it in game, and I saw a lot of it because it just, I was playing on the launch day. Everyone sees like bullet tracers for it, first of all. And when you look at them, it's almost like the gun is trying to shoot the ball bearings around what you're aiming at.
Yeah.
Like in a circle. So I can't imagine it's good, but it's out. So anyway, as we get the new aftermarket parts, we'll talk about them, but that's the only new one that's out right now. We did get some other new stuff that is not mentioned in the roadmap. It's like one thing here is new equipment, the EMP grenade. Don't care. But there are some new attachments that we're going to talk about, but not yet. So going on from that, new operators, new events.
WWE operators, man.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. We got a background here.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
We've got a background here on Ivan. Let's do a quick little glance. See if there's anything interesting.
Ivan. That sounds like a white male's name. I don't know if I like that.
Nothing interesting. Yeah, they are not Infinity Ward.
Oh, he's anti-Western powers. So, okay. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
His distrust and dislike of the West. Yeah, got it. Okay.
He's a Russian.
Can't just have a white guy.
He's a dirty
likes America
Russian.
A little bit. Can't do that. Can't do that anymore, man. White men are oppressed in the United States.
That is true. I agree with that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Hell yeah, brother.
Okay. Anyways. That was a joke, by the way, so relax if you're listening.
Dude, the new finishing moves for the WWE operators are crazy. I kind of want to buy one because they're really funny because they do wrestling takedowns, of course. Wrestling takedowns. They're dope, dude. They're really cool looking. Might have
if
to
they
do a
had
little
a Stone
purchase.
Cold Steve Austin operator bundle,
That's
I would
the
pay,
unfortunate part. Yeah.
I would pay up to 50 United States dollars to be able to, oh my God, it's the Stone Cold Stunner finishing move someone. I'm dead assed, by the way.
Yeah, are you?
I would literally pay 50 United States dollars to have a finishing move where you grab the guy's shoulder, you spin him around, you kick him in the balls, and you Stone Cold Stunner him, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great. I would love it. But we can't always get what we want. In fact, if we play Call of Duty, you can almost never get what you want. But we'll get into that. So anyway, other than that, some bug fixes. This was actually a pretty good season. Spoiler alert. But, well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Don't harass me, man. Don't pressure me.
Shut up.
Okay. Increased limit of track challenges from 5 to 10. This is actually super useful, and I was very pleased to see this. Because if you're trying to do like weekly challenges and, daily challenges to unlock new attachments, we'll get into that. Weekly challenges, daily challenges. Well, that would be like 8 at the same time. So being able to track up to 10 is really nice. I actually used this. I was tracking more than 10.
That's dope.
And it's super, super helpful. Oh, you don't have to track daily challenges. I was tracking more than 5, though, for some reason. I don't know what it was, but whatever. Either way, it's good. Let's see. Some other bug fixes, not going to go into that. Some other map changes. And then there was a lot of weapon balance for multiplayer, actually. None of which we'll be talking about, to be clear. But you can go look at that if you're into that. And then a lot of perk changes that I did not... Oh, I glossed over these.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
These.
They changed a lot. I didn't even look at the multiplayer patch notes until right this very second.
So they added to almost every vest, maybe literally every vest, a slot of some kind. I'm not going to read all of them, but I'll give you guys an example. Engineer vest added a lethal equipment slot. Gunner vest added a boots perk slot. Demo vest added a second gear perk slot. So they just gave pretty much every custom class like another something, which is really interesting. And this probably changes up what your multiplayer class looks like a lot, potentially. That is super interesting, because a lot of what goes into what perks you run, obviously, or what vest you run rather, is what you have to sack to take it. Like one of the big downsides of like a good vest would be like you can't run boots or something. The gunner vest, for example, but now you can run boots. That makes that vest so much better, because boots are like the best perk slot, and you used to not be able to run them with gunner vest. So instead you wouldn't run the gunner vest, you'd run another vest, and then you would run a gear slot that gave you what gunner gives you, which is, I believe, the increased reload and weapon swap speed or something, for example. So having a bunch of vests having something added to them, and some got better things than other, like Overkill got a field upgrade slot. So that didn't get buffed very much, but they all got something, it looks like, which is super interesting and surprising, and I think I like it.
I just wonder if it kind of ruins the balance they created with this whole perk
That's
vest
a good
system.
question too.
I don't know. I do not play multiplayer anymore, so I don't know enough to really have an opinion on it, but I do wonder if that's kind of just killed their own system they created by just making all of them really good now and basically having no downsides. I'm not sure. Yeah, but I haven't heard anything about this. I guess it's because most people I follow don't talk about multiplayer as much, but yeah, this sounds like a very drastic change to the game that I'm surprised I hadn't heard anything about.
I think it's because most people still playing multiplayer are playing ranked, where this like doesn't matter.
Yeah,
honestly,
I think that's got to be it. Yeah,
but either way, I think I like this overall, because even if it does like trivialize making selections, which is possible, that's a fair point. You might be right. It would be really hard to tell without playing for hours and hours, because this is like so much, like so many variables just changed, you know. But even if it did do that, I mean, COD Next is in like a month, so.
Also, the CDL season is over, I'm pretty sure, because they just had champs, so wonder if that, well, I guess that wouldn't affect them anyways. Yeah, it wouldn't affect ranked, but yeah, who knows? Anyway, whatever. Other than that, next section is zombies.
Yeah, on principle, I'm skipping it. Crisp, by the way, we did get your feedback, and we understand. We hear ya. We should go over zombies, even though we don't play it. Listen, I don't know what any of these things mean. I don't know what a rift is. I don't know what...
Yeah.
I don't know what anything is. And also, they didn't really do anything. They never do.
Doesn't look like they did anything. They just
did stability
bug fixes.
Changes, solved several crash bugs that occurred while getting kills in unstable rifts. I don't know what those are. The Reclaimer 18 challenge now progresses as intended. Some more UI bug fixes, and then some gameplay bug fixes. They literally didn't do anything but bug fixes for zombies. So there's your update for you, buddy. But unfortunately, even if there were substance, I hear you, and your point is well taken. But we don't know what they mean.
We'll be covering it next year.
Much to say. Yeah. And next year, we will be covering it extensively, trust me. Yeah. But other than that, that's it for patch notes. So
Warzone.
Yeah, like multiplayer, we mostly learned, again, from the roadmap. So yeah. Moving on to the Warzone patch notes. So these are
patch notes for Warzone.
But but I would say more impactful, at least for us, because we mostly play Warzone. So here we go. Map updates Urikistan Superstore. We got Superstore.
They did
It's
it.
in the place we told you it was going to be. We're
Feels like I'm on Verdansk.
About this.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We're going to hold off on discussing Superstore until the end of this episode when we get to our first impressions. But they did, in fact, add it. It's there. Superstore Resurgence is a new LTM on Urikistan. We are not talking about this later. I'm not talking about it at all.
It sucks and it's bad.
We can talk about it now. Yeah,
it sucks and it's bad, and it's not very fun. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's basically the small area of Superstore. So like the thing is, you can kind of land outside. There are like houses that you can land at just outside of Superstore, like a little bit to the south, a little bit to the east. Nothing goes on there. There are no buy stations. The times I play, I don't know if it changes or if it's because the buy stations had been bugged. Maybe this affected this, but there is literally one buy station. So you can land out there.
Are you serious?
You can't get to a buy station. The free loadout drop comes, I'm almost positive, at the same time it comes in normal Resurgence, even though the match is 10 minutes long.
Got it.
So half the lobby's dead by the time free loadout drops.
Yep.
Most of the fighting will kind of take place on the roof because people just landing back. They're more likely to land on the roof. They're more likely to see people fighting, so they land in third party you. I cannot stress this enough, there is not assault rifle ammunition on the roof at all. There's plenty of SMG ammo because people landing back with their pistols and then dying leaves you a lot of SMG ammo. You will run out of AR ammo, and you will never find any ammo again unless you go into Superstore. So you could go into Superstore, sure, but it's boring in there. There's not really anybody in there. The whole point of the mode should be chaotic, fun action, so I don't want to go inside and loot around and look for assault rifle ammunition. This mode would be actually infinitely better if you just spawn with your loadout, and it would immediately be a really fun mode. That's the way it should work.
For a lot of Resurgence LTMs this year.
Exactly. They've done that. And that's what I fully expected for this. So again, 10 minutes long, you get your free loadouts like 4 minutes into it. So, okay.
It sucks and it's bad. And good luck getting it, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. Play Rebirth if you want Resurgence. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
not surprising.
Then you run out of assault rifle ammunition, and then you just get landed on by people constantly as you're trying to res your teammates. You're trying to reload your backup pistol that you have, because again, you don't have assault rifle ammunition. Really bad. Just a bad mode. Not fun.
I would also like to point out that part of this these patch notes say, pro tip, watch out for great deals at buy stations, forgetting that there's only
Got it! Yeah. Buy station.
Watch out for great deals at the buy station is what that should say.
Yeah, maybe that was just part of the bug, because that bug did affect Urikistan, so maybe because Superstore is on Urikistan, I don't know.
That has to be an oversight. There's no shot they intended there to be literally one buy. Yeah.
And I don't know.
Outrageous.
I never got to it. I think it was inside Superstore as well. I don't even think it was on the roof. So you had to go downstairs. Then if you get a loadout, you have to throw the loadout and then get back on the roof. So I don't know. Maybe it was on the roof. I'm not sure. Never saw it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway.
Horrible, terrible dog mode.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. So moving on from there, the weekly playlist for this week, we got Superstore Resurgence quads, ranked play trios on Rebirth Island, plunder quads, BR solos, duos, trios, and quads. God bless on Urzikstan.
God damn it.
And then Resurgence solos, duos, quads on Rebirth, and then Resurgence trios is on a map rotation. So. If you want to play Ashika or Vondel. Ellie giggle. All right, moving on from there. General new Warzone rewards.
Ashika's gone, isn't it? Isn't Ashika gone? You cannot play Ashika. Isn't it gone?
What I said.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what the rotation is.
If that's true, then that's what I said. And if it's not true, then I didn't say that.
God,
so
I don't remember.
Warzone rewards. I peeped these a little bit. Spoiler alert, the 4 camos for each track that you earn for finishing the track, the 4 challenges in the track, combat expertise, cooperation, mobility, and redacted, are not animated. L. And they're not very good looking, even if they were animated, if I'm gonna be honest. I didn't look too deeply, but I looked at all of them briefly. And I was like, meh. Even if they were animated, meh.
Not
That
good,
was
huh?
my thought.
Yeah.
Not that
Well,
great.
you don't want to get them all done so that you could get the reward for completing all of them. The really cool Bruin blueprint. Not a weapon
really
camo, the
cool-
specific Bruin blueprint. That
Yeah.
looks worse than, I would say, 75% of the base camos in the game. Really? Interesting.
Well, to be fair, I actually like how the blueprint looks, but it's not a weapon camo. It's a blueprint, like you said.
It's a
one.
meta
and number
build.
2, it's not animated.
Yeah.
And number 3, it's on the Bruin, which is not a good gun. So it wasn't in season 4, and it's still not. So yeah,
No, guns are good. By the way, on the rewards, I wanted to say this. Under the cooperation tab, the second challenge is perform squad assembles. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think they're in the game anymore. Maybe they're still working on like Fortune's Keep, Resurgence. I have no idea, but they don't work on Urzikstan. I know that. And they don't work in Rebirth pubs. Well, they weren't last season. Maybe they added them back in. I don't know. If anybody in chat can confirm, but I'm pretty sure one of the challenges they added, perform squad assembles, is not possible in the game anymore.
Oh, that's right. You pointed that out. Yeah.
Let me know if you
Squad
guys figure that
Assembles is
out.
where you land together and you get a cash bonus. Tanner and I complained that they removed this from the game, and then they didn't add it back ever or say anything about it. So bugger feature, don't know. And now there's a challenge where you have to do that, but there's no squad assemble bonus. So I guess that's just impossible. They have to be aware of it now, though. No shot, no one said something to them. So
Yeah,
I
maybe.
expect that to be addressed in some way.
I would
Either-
like if they just added squad assembles back, but they removed it when they added 120 players and they wanted to make it feel more like a BR, so they wanted to make it harder to earn money, which I understand, but you know.
Did they say that about squad assembles specifically?
Oh, no, they didn't say a goddamn thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
Weren't
yeah.
they just removed?
I'm pretty sure,
But
yeah.
like obviously that was their thought process because it was an instant 4,000 rubles if you landed on your team in quads.
Yeah, that's a
So
fair
and then
assumption.
they lowered the cash. I don't know, or they just forgot they took it out of the game or didn't mean to. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, bugger feature, right?
W.
Exactly. So this will be fixed probably pretty soon in one of two ways. They're gonna add squad assemble that thing back where if you land together you get money, or they will change the criterion to complete that challenge. I'm leaning heavily toward option 2, unfortunately, because I would like squad assemble back, but I don't think they'll do that.
It's gone.
It's probably gone, but it is hilarious that that's a challenge, and I did not notice it until Tanner said that yesterday. Yeah. So anyway, moving on from there. Gameplay: redeploy drone beacons, the new field upgrades, portable balloons. So, these are actually different than the old portable redeploy balloons, if I'm not mistaken. My memory of what the field upgrade for balloons was that you pressed the button and then your character just like launched into the air. And it was like you use it only and then it's gone. That's how I remember them working on Caldera. Is that correct? Let's start there.
No, it was something you threw down on Caldera, wasn't it? And then all your teammates hit it?
I don't.
Pretty sure.
So that's how it works now, which I like better. But I thought it was just you pressed a button and go. But maybe I'm thinking of the redeploy.
I think you're thinking of the ones we have now,
Yeah, I think I am.
which are horrendous.
Okay.
This is exactly the same as a normal balloon on Urzikstan. You go as high, as
Yep.
far. There's not much to say about it. They're really good. It's a great feature to add to the game. They perform the exact same as all the other balloons. You can buy them. In fact, I bought one late game, and we ended up using it. We got destroyed to some guy who I'm pretty sure was cheating. But we were able to balloon right into him so he can kill us before we wasted any more time in that match for him to just kill us later because he was cheating. But yeah, they work really well. And they're only like 4K, I think, at the buy station. They're a good price, 3K or 4K.
Okay.
And then these ones too, yeah, you can throw them pretty far.
Yeah, so the differences between this field upgrade and the one we had on Caldera is that, first of all, I don't know how they fit a balloon of this magnitude in something that weighs a singular pound, because you can, in fact, yeet the hell out of this thing. You can throw it really far. So I actually threw it too far the first time I used it, because I expected it to be like heavy, but it's not. It's like a Frisbee. Like you press the button and you just throw that sucker and it goes far, which is nice because that means you can throw it far, or you can put it right next to you if you want, obviously. So I like that part of it. And that's different than Caldera. Obviously I don't remember the Caldera balloons very well, as I just demonstrated, but I'm pretty sure I would remember if you could Frisbee the Caldera field upgrade portable balloons. And then the second difference, I'm absolutely certain of this, like Tanner just said, is that unlike the portable balloons in Caldera, I think, now you guys are, I don't know if you're gaslighting me. Chat will tell me in a second. But anyway, these, you go as high and as far as if you were taking like any other balloon, like a static balloon, which is also really cool. Because I expected these to be like a Rebirth Island balloon in terms of how far you can yeet yourself. But that is not the case. It's like a full balloon, but you could put it wherever you want, which is really cool. And it's a lot of outplay potential and a lot of fun, obviously.
Yeah.
Lag, in fact, was able to get third place in a game of quads yesterday, and then kill himself to a precision airstrike when he would have been totally fine.
Yeah.
By using a portable balloon. Because otherwise he would have died much sooner, and I would have been able to play the game again more quickly. But instead, because he had a portable balloon, he was able to delay his death and then kill himself in game, of course, because he was able to get out of a sticky situation to then live to precision airstrike himself another circle.
God,
so
that was
cool.
funny. He calls in the airstrike and then flies directly at it and then sits in the path and then dies to it. And he's like, what the heck?
And I said it. Like, the first path went over, and then he runs right into it. And I'm like, okay, you're going to die to your own PA, I guess. And then he dies to his own PA. Lag!
They show up on the map, lag.
They're on the... Yeah, that's why I know. Anyways. Yeah, these are cool, though. You know. Yeah. They work better than I thought they would.
They're basically perfect. Yeah. What happens if I throw one at the top of Trump Tower? I want to try that.
We should find out. Yeah. They're also, I think, just common enough as ground loot. They're
pretty
enough.
Damn common, actually. I wonder if they're too common. I don't know. They might need to just
common,
they might need to lower the spawn rate, or just like remove them from a buy station and make it ground loot only or something. I mean, we've used 6 of them a game, it feels like.
That's one of those things that we're going to have to play more.
Yeah. I might end up hating these. And actually,
you're right, they seem pretty available.
I also wonder if they're causing issues with players landing on you, because remember when that entire team landed on us and we didn't get a notification that there was anybody inbound, and then they also didn't make any sound, and then they were all on top of us, and then we thought it was one guy, but really it was a team of 4?
That was insane.
I wonder if there are audio issues tied to these as well.
Unfortunately, I remember that. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question too. But once again, that wouldn't necessarily be a problem of too many balloons. That would be a problem that we've had for 5 years, which is an audio issue, an issue.
Well, it wasn't a problem 2 seasons ago, and now it just sucks again.
Yep, exactly.
So they
love doing it. So,
I have a theory, by the way. I actually feel like because so many people use the audio tune, that instead of just, they obviously don't want that, everyone running that, but they can't exactly just ban it. I don't know what they would do, right? So I feel like they make the audio worse on purpose to try to nerf that. But in reality, their audio doesn't change at all, and now everyone else's is a lot worse. I swear I think that's a problem.
That is something that is possible.
Shut up, Gabe.
God damn it, Gabe. Okay, let me mute my phone.
Shut up.
Anyways, yeah, so We'll have more to say on that in first impressions in a little
There
bit
will be,
here.
that's
So, moving on from there, all maps Resurgence. The bounty contest public event. I haven't played Resurgence at all yet. I've only been playing Urikistan. So nothing to say on that, but it's in, I guess. And then new nuke contract rewards. So the portable balloon is 4K, by the way. And the inventory stock is 2 per buy station. So there you go.
Excludes Vondel. So they don't say like excludes Rebirth. So does that mean this is on Rebirth?
Yes. Which is a bold
That
choice,
doesn't
by the
make
way. You're
any
right.
sense at all. Makes
'Cause
way
Rebirth
more
is
sense
one
on
size.
Vondel.
Yeah. Rebirth is small. Urzikstan is massive. Vondel's right in the middle. Why have the balloon on the 2 extremes and not on Vondel? That don't be making sense. You are correct. I don't know why they did that.
It would
And
be
they haven't told us.
perfect on Vondel, actually.
Yeah.
It would be perfect.
You certainly would like them a lot more on Vondel than you would on Rebirth, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're going
It's
to
not
use them
like
on
you
Rebirth,
really
but
need
they're
it on Rebirth.
going to be too good. Well, I guess the balloons on Rebirth suck, so I would assume they perform the same way as the other balloons. I don't know. Maybe this is a mistake, because that doesn't make sense to me. I don't think they're on Rebirth. There's no way. That'd be incredibly dumb. They were.
Well, it says at the top, all maps, all modes, except Vondel.
Yeah, but they fired 2,000 devs. They don't know how to write patch notes anymore.
That's fair. So yeah, we don't know, but anyway, whatever. They're 4K, the balloons. So, Resurgence nuke contract timers have been reduced. They wrote about it. I'm not going to read it. If you guys are capable of doing nukes, you already know all about them, and you read patch notes. And if you're not, then you're, whatever. Redeploy weapons. Handgun attachments have been refreshed. Updated a few primary weapons supplied later into matches. Yeah, so you still drop with guns. Okay. The introduction of bounty contests reduces the chance of other things, whatever, yeah. Okay, and then... All right, so now we're going to talk about the new guns. So they added 2 new guns, the STG and the Static HV. So we'll take these in the order they've given them to us, starting with the Static HV, the new submachine gun. I have not used it. I unlocked the STG first. I have not seen anyone use it in Warzone. I have seen it in multiplayer, and it seems fine in multiplayer. In Warzone, however, I have seen no one talking about it, and I've seen no one using it,
Bunch
which
of
leads
people are
me
using
to
it.
believe it is not that good. But I could be wrong.
Oh, there are a ton of people using it. It's very good.
Besides ground loot. Is it good?
Yeah, it's
Tell us
very
about
good. I haven't unlocked it either, but I know the stats are very good. It's probably going to end up being the meta SMG, I believe, once everyone gets it unlocked.
Is
yeah,
the time to kill faster than the Superi?
Oh, God, yeah. By what, 40 milliseconds maybe? 30 milliseconds? It's quite a bit for an SMG, considering they're all similar. It's good. Yeah.
40 is something. Yeah. Interesting.
It's a big difference for close range.
Interesting.
When nobody's missing shots, and that's all that really matters is the time to kill.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Maybe I just played too early. I did play, launch day, I guess. But, okay. Yeah. So I haven't used it myself yet, but I'm pretty close to unlocking it. I think I need one more.
Yeah, I'm going to have it
sector.
today.
Yeah, I'll probably have it today as well. So we'll talk more about that when we unlock it ourselves, obviously. But if it is meta, then good. Or if it's in the meta, then good. Because it's not like the Superi is bad, which we're gonna find out in a second. So, however, one gun Tanner and I have used quite a lot. It's the new AR, the STG-44.
The old Stig, yep.
The old Stiggy Wiggy. So this gun, unlike the Static HV, is trash. Just kidding. It's really good. And asterisk. And everyone's using it.
Everyone.
So that's nice. Now I think we will wait until we get to the first impression section to talk more about this. But I will say now, as a little teaser, it is also in the meta. And luckily, which is exactly what I wanted with this season when we talked about that on Patreon, and what we didn't get with season 4. Well, we did with the car, I guess. But 2 new guns, both relevant right away. W.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really good. And we'll talk more about the STG later on today. So beyond that, new aftermarket parts, already went over that. And then some weapon balance changes.
Hold on a second. Razinon's balls, thanks for the 10 money.
Woo!
He says it's late over here and I'm old, so I need to sleep. Looking forward to listening to the rest of the pod tomorrow morning. P.S. Please scratch me. So
Okay.
Razinon's balls is asking Razinon to scratch him. Razinon balls, thank you very much for the 10 money. The 10 fake currency.
Yeah,
appreciate it, buddy.
Currency.
Thank you.
Thank you, Razinon's balls. We appreciate the super chat, king. All right, moving on from there. Go to sleep, old man. We got some weapon balance. So once again, and I'm dead ass, the 8th patch in a row, the MCW has been buffed and probably not enough. Don't know that for sure, but they increased the lower torso multiplier from 1.0 to 1.1.
Okay.
To be fair, on top of all the other small buffs they've done, a 10% more damage to the tummy is actually pretty big, at least on paper. At least in my mind, that sounds like a pretty big buff. Because if you're shooting someone far away and you're aiming center mass, you have to imagine you're hitting that tummy a good amount of the time. And now you're doing 10% more damage every time you do. Does this bring it into the meta? I don't think so quite yet. But I have finally started to see some tweets from accounts I trust, don't remember who they are, but I trust them, saying the MCW is not complete dog shit anymore. Is that true? Don't really know. Haven't looked at numbers yet. Haven't used it yet. Been using new guns. But they're still trying to make the MCW work. And they say, as a little blurb, this brings the MCW to the same TTK as the upper torso and arms, leading to more consistent long-range engagements. That's super interesting. So now whether you're hitting the arms, the chest, or the stomach, you're getting the same time to kill. That's going to make it feel super consistent, and I think the way you balance around that is to have the time to kill be a little slower than something like, I don't know, the fastest killing long range AR. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of the trade-off you're going for. If you're going to have a gun that has really consistent hitboxes on such a big area of the target and no recoil.
Yeah.
I think that's what you want to do. So I think they're like shooting for the right thing here. But is it enough? Is it too much? Probably not too much. Definitely not. Is it enough is the question. I don't really know yet. So, anyway. Moving on from there. The SVA max damage range was increased by 5 meters. So, okay. Ball 27 was buffed as well. And it was actually not bad before. So, this gun might be pretty solid now. Especially when you keep in mind what changed. Max damage range, 26 from 22 meters. So 27 from 22, really. So that's pretty good, especially if you're using this like in Resurgence on Rebirth. But also, I think more importantly than that, decreased horizontal recoil magnitude, decreased overall recoil magnitude, and decreased overall recoil deviation.
Yeah.
So now it has, at least, I haven't used it yet, but I was using it a lot before Season 5, actually, like 3 days ago. But post buff, I haven't used it yet. But that sounds like a lot of recoil control. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be good. It was a fun gun.
It was fun.
I would love if
and
it were
the
meta.
time to kill was pretty solid. So now it's just easier to control, and you have a longer first damage range. And again, on Rebirth Island, that's like super relevant. So this could be interesting. I don't know though. We'll have to wait and see a little longer. MTZ 556 near mid. So second damage range increased to 61 meters from 51 meters.
Wow.
Actually also a pretty big deal. That's for no attachments, that's actually an insane second damage range.
That gun was pretty good already.
That's like a ridiculous second damage range for that gun. Yeah, that's pretty odd, but I don't think that's going to like make it the best gun in the game or anything, because the TTK didn't change, but something to keep in mind. And then the MW2 M4 was buffed.
Quite a
Doesn't
bit.
matter. Yeah. Yeah, it's relevant.
Yeah.
Minimum damage, max damage, and then second damage range. All those numbers went up by like 4, 3, and then, yeah, whatever. So anyway, battle rifles, the Boss B, max damage range increased. Okay. And then the TAC V, which is an MW2 LMG or battle rifle, leg modifier 0.9 from 0.85. So those are both still probably terrible. And now SMGs. I'm not reading all of these, but let's talk about some of them. The Horus was nerfed. Slower sprint to fire, and then lower damage ranges. Now keep in mind, the big advantage the Horus had over the Superi, which were like the two best SMGs, I would say, before Season 5. The big differentiation for the Horus was that it had longer damage ranges. That was like the advantage it had. Otherwise, just run a Superi. So what did they do? Brought in all the damage ranges. Got it. Now, are they still longer than the Superi? Don't know. But this was not necessary to do at all. Now, to be fair, didn't bring... Well, no. Max damage range, 8.6 from 10.16. Pretty big deal, actually, on an SMG. Second damage range, 17.2 from 20.3. Mid damage range, 25.9 from 30.4. So actually pretty substantial. And then increased sprint to fire time from 93 to 110 milliseconds. So it's also slower sprint to fire. So pretty L change that did not need to be done at all, in my opinion. But it's not like the gun is ruined either, at least. So that's something.
I wish we knew how these changes interact with aftermarket parts, because the Horus I was running uses the aftermarket part. So did its damage ranges change as well? Like, we don't exactly know how any of that works.
So.
We think so, right? But it's but they're going to be different stats anyways. So okay,
it will change the stats, yeah. But I think it applies whatever adjustments to the base stats, even for aftermarket parts.
I saw people running this yesterday, still quite a bit actually.
Yeah, I think it's definitely still usable. It just seems like such an unnecessary nerf. Like, this isn't the gun that needed to be nerfed, and especially not in this way if you're going to nerf it. Especially when compared to the Superi. What did they do? Decreased damage, psych. Decreased damage range, psych. Here's what they actually did. Decreased movement speed from 5 meters per second to 4.9 meters per second. Not noticeable, by the way. Was using this yesterday, felt exactly the same as it did before the season update. Got it. You still absolutely zoom with the short barrel, and it feels fast, just like it did before. Got it. Decreased crouch movement speed by 0.1 meters per second. Got it. Decreased sprint speed by 0.1 meters per second. Got it. Decreased ADS movement speed by 0.2 meters per second. Wow. It's ruined. Psych. Gun is still really good. This was the gun that needed to be nerfed by sprint to fire, damage range, like they did to the Horus, because it's the one everyone was using. But that's not what they did. Terrible, miserable, awful SMG weapon balance the past like 3 seasons. I don't know why. I don't know what they're doing. Someone just hates SMGs, I guess, or something. I don't know what it is.
The thing is, I don't even think it has the fastest SMG time to kill. I think it's actually on the slower end now. I don't know if it even needed a damage nerf. Like, I just know I was using it yesterday, and like literally numerous times I was like, dude, I need to find another gun. Like, I hate this SMG now. It just was not feeling good to me at all yesterday. I kept losing gunfights. But I haven't looked at any stats in a while.
Yeah.
But I need to take a phone call. You can keep going.
Okay. WSP9, leg modifier 10% higher. Mini Bach from MW2 was buffed a ton. The P90 from MW2 was also buffed a good amount, as were the Vel and the Vaznev from MW2. So I don't know what Tanner means by the Super E isn't the fastest killing gun anymore, frankly, because the only guns that changed were the WSP9 has a higher leg multiplier, so that's not killing faster than a Super E if it wasn't before, it's not now. The Horus obviously wasn't, because it didn't have its damage values changed, and neither did the AMR9. So I literally don't know what he means, because no gun had any damage change in the SMG category, except for probably terrible MW2 guns that he wasn't losing gunfights to anyway, or the new SMG, which might be what he means. So I stand by my assessment that the Super E needed to be nerfed in its damage. Tanner, what guns do you think are killing faster than the Super E now? Because no other guns had their damage values changed. Are you just talking about the new one?
Well, the Superior, didn't it already get nerfed at some point last season with the damage? So it already wasn't the fastest, but most people were just still running it because it's easy to use. And it was a fast mobility gun.
I think that's true, but I think it was killing slower by like a couple milliseconds, but it also was the mobility is just way better.
I don't know. Let me look at it real quick. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a small change in time to kill on an SMG is a very big deal. Because, like I said, when everybody's using a controller and everybody has the same exact aim, like 30 millisecond difference is a lot for a close range gun.
I agree.
So let's see. Let's put the new one in there. Just gonna throw a few random ones in there. I don't know how updated this is right now. I'm gonna throw the conversion kit on that. Okay, let's see how it's looking here. Combo. Okay. I guess it's the... Yeah, they're all kind of the same. With combination, the new SMG is a lot, but the new SMG is very good. It's a lot better. Yeah. And then the AMR, the Horus, the WSP, yeah, they're all pretty much exactly the same, actually. Let's see, like, headshot values. Superior has a good headshot multiplier. Yeah, I guess they're all pretty similar, but I don't know. Maybe it's the arm damage that sucks on it or something. No, that's like the same. God, his website's like laggy right now. It's weird.
Yeah, it was wonky for me yesterday too.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. The gun just wasn't feeling good to me at all yesterday, and I was like losing gunfights to people. I don't know what they were using when I was losing.
It could be the new SMG, like you said. I didn't realize it was that good, to be fair.
It's got horrible leg damage. Not like I should be hitting the legs much, but oh my god, it's really bad when you hit legs.
Yeah, you are in KBAM, to be fair. You're probably hitting them a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Anyway, regardless, I don't know. We'll talk more about it as we use
it. Wasn't broken anyways.
Ourselves.
I don't think it needed to be nerfed that much. I mean, they can...
The movement speed is really fast for having a time to kill that is basically the same as every other SMG. I think it's still it's either too good or every other SMG besides the new one is too bad. That's what it feels like to me.
Oh, most of the guns are too bad, yeah.
So nasty. So nasty. Especially in tac stance, which is what like a lot of people have started doing now, I've noticed. Myself included. It feels really good and pretty easy to use, even on KBAM. Like, yeah, you just move so fast and you don't have to give up anything for it. And it feels like normally when we've had those like really fast moving SMGs, they've had like terrible damage range to compensate or not as fast of a time to kill or something. But this is like, you get crazy mobility, your recoil is totally manageable, and your time to kill is basically the same as every other gun. It's like, okay, why would I use something else then?
I think it's just so easy to use, and you have a lot. It feels like you have a lot of damage per mag. I think that's what it comes down to as well.
Yeah. So, either way, we'll talk more about this. Yeah, as the meta settles as well. Because again, keep in mind we're recording this the day after the launch of the season, so more things to be discovered. Moving on from there, LMGs. So here was some pretty interesting stuff, actually. The Bruin was max damage range buffed, doesn't matter. Holger 26, lower torso modifier decreased 1.1 to 1.0. Kind of matters. I don't know if it was necessary, but the
Sure
Holger
wasn't.
26 was decent.
Gun felt like crap, but it was still the best gun.
Felt trash, but it was good on damage and damage range wise, yeah. So here's where it gets really interesting in my opinion though. The Polemyot 762, max damage range increased by 7 meters. That doesn't really matter. Here's what does. Upper and lower arm modifiers 1.0 to 1.1. That is a huge deal for big map with a 100 round belt fed light machine gun, because you are hitting upper or you're hitting arms a lot on big map when you're shooting someone far away. If they're like running perpendicular to you, that's kind of all you're hitting. And now you're doing 10% more damage. And this is from an LMG, which has pretty good damage ranges and pretty good damage also. And I have not used it yet. I planned on it, but I was having fun with the STG. But people are already using it. And I looked up and compared what has a faster time to kill, conversion kit or no conversion kit, and no conversion kit has a faster TTK, at least to the chest. So I would recommend, and when I saw the Polemyot, when people were shooting me with it, they were not using the conversion kit either. So I feel like this is actually a pretty massive buff, and I think more people might start coming around on it, because I didn't see it as much as I feel like I should have, given how big this buff is. I think this is like a pretty big buff, basically.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's an LMG.
And it's a very slow LMG, yeah.
It's a big one. Yeah. yeah, it is.
It's slow, and I don't think the non-conversion kit is the easiest gun to use. So even if that
also true.
TTK is faster on paper, I would guess the gun's actually worse with it.
We also have new attachments that might help with that, but we'll get into that shortly. So anyway, yeah, I would encourage you guys to like look around for that, maybe try that. And then the TAC Eradicator, minimum damage 28 from 24. Big deal. And then max damage range 6 more meters. Not that big of a deal. This is also getting used a lot more now. 4 more damage is a big buff, especially at your longest damage range, for the same reasons I kind of just said, for big map anyway. Obviously not super, maybe good on Rebirth actually. But anyway, I've been seeing that as well. And then the TAC Evolver leg modifier 1.0 to 1.07. Not as big of a deal. That's only really going to be relevant if you're shooting someone very far away. You are generally not shooting people in the legs. Yeah. So I don't think that's that big. But I think that Eradicator change, the Polemyot change, and maybe the MCW change, I think those are kind of the standouts for me. So moving on from there, shotguns. I forgot there was more. The Reclaimer 18 in semi-auto now has an increased fire rate, but you're not going to use it in semi-auto. We'll get into that. And then this is crazy. So this is what I was talking about, Tanner. Handguns, Core 45. This is the starting pistol, the pistol you land with. Decreased rate of fire from 375 to 240 rounds per minute.
Yep.
I wonder if I'd notice that. You might be thinking, yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah. You'll notice it. It's incredible.
It's really bad.
Like, feels bugged. Yeah.
I figured it was bugged. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A lot slower. At first, I was excited about this because I was like, oh, good. I don't want to get in pistol gunfights with people on anyway. So if it takes them longer to kill me, I might have a chance to get away. I was wrong, because what I forgot about is if I land somewhere and an enemy lands somewhere, they're always going to get a ground loot gun, and I'm never going to get a ground loot gun. That's what I forgot about.
Bro doesn't know how to
now
loot.
When that happens, instead of having a 5% chance of not dying, I now have a 0% chance of not dying because the pistol's even worse, but their ground loot gun, which they will find and I won't always, is now even better than the pistol I have than it was before. So yeah, I'm against this change actually.
Oh, it's terrible.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was from 375 rounds per minute down to 240. So unnecessary. The gun feels horrible now. It's not fun to use at all. Like you basically can't have early game fights with it now. Like it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
I thought like the early game fights before, like with it, were honestly fun. Like the gun was really good. I'd rather have that because then if they do get a ground loot gun, you actually had a chance back then. Now you don't. So like they pick up any gun and you're chalked. But before, because this thing was very good, somebody picks up a trash SMG, I could outgun that person at 15 meters or something like that because the starting pistol is so dang good. So don't know the point of this at all. Terrible change, stupid change, and a dumb change. And also it wasn't very smart.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. I did not account for that at all. And then I played a couple games and I was like, oh, never mind. This was a terrible
Well, also,
idea.
like, if you guys want to lower it, I don't know, start with like 340. But to go
they also went a little
135 less rounds in one single minute? Huh?
160 little tiny seconds. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
It's a lot fewer rounds. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. And then they nerfed the sledgehammer melee weapon. Good.
Dang it.
Warzone ranked play.
It exists.
Dynamic gas mask overlay. So now for our acoustic listeners, of which there are many, if it bothered you having a gas mask on at all times because you could see, I don't know, you could see it, I guess. That doesn't matter now. Now you can pick it up, you'll auto equip it, and if you're not in gas, that overlay won't appear. The overlay will only show when you're in gas. W change. Just a good change.
I mean, this is
No
how
reason
it
not
should
to
have
do
worked
it.
like 4 years ago. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
It was funny because even JGod tweeted something. It was something he had tweeted like March 20 something of the year 2020 when Verdansk came out. He tweeted something about how they need to fix the gas mask animation and the way the gas mask works. And he retweeted that. And he's like, finally, 4 years later, they basically got the gas mask to where it should have been the entire time. This is how it just always should have been.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So W.
One single clap for the devs.
One clap for making a change they should have never had to make because it should have been added insta. So anyway, other than that, one other thing, reinforcement flares. If you have one, there's now a reminder on the HUD when your squad mate is dead and you have one on you.
It's a cute little reminder.
I have flared like 4 people yesterday and I don't recall ever seeing this
It's
reminder.
to the left of it. It's a vertical line just to the left, and it has like an arrow pointing towards it, and it says like reinforcement flare available. God damn. Teddy is barking today. I don't know why. Little bro wants in here.
Yeah.
Holy. But yeah, also hidden patch note. They increased the spawn rate of flares by 380%. Did you notice
there
that?
Are a lot of flares, yeah.
They're back to what they were. They're 100% back to what they were pre-season 4 when they lowered the spawn rate of them. They are everywhere.
There do be flares.
They be flaring.
They be flaring, yeah. So, and then other than that, some bug fixes, none of which I'm going to read, and that's pretty much it. So there you go. So that is that for the patch notes. Now let's get into some quick news and upcoming changes. These all come from Charlie Intel's Twitter feed. Raven Software yesterday confirmed during a creator call this week that MW2 snipers will be able to one-shot in Warzone without attachments in a future update. Okay. I mean, cool, but I expected this half a season after they added the ability for, and I spit all over my microphone to be clear, MW3 snipers to be able to one-shot like the Cat AMR. And I expected MW3 snipers to be able to one-shot as soon as the integration happened, which also wasn't the case. So this is fine, in fact, good, but it is so late that I'm surprised they're even doing it. I thought they just forgot. I don't know why this didn't happen far sooner than it did, but I'm glad it is. Because there are some good MW2 snipers. And if they can one-shot at different ranges, just like MW3 ones now, that would be great. More variety.
Yeah.
Able to kind of tailor what you want out of a sniper much better now. Like people are going to start using the SPX, for example. I think that's going to go crazy for a lot of people because that's going to be like the middle ground between a car and a stalker, I would imagine, if it can one-shot. So that I'm really excited for this, actually, but it's just so late that it pisses me off, frankly. So
yeah,
we'll see when we get it also, by the way, because they said a future update. You know what else they said? We're getting a future update. Next tweet from Charlie Intel. There are still no updates on Warzone BR ranked play. During a creator call this week, Activision said that they have no updates beyond what was said previously. Later this year on Urzikstan. Got it!
Yeah.
Got it! This is why I don't care. I don't care that MW2 snipers are going to be able to one-shot. Cool win. Cool win, because I wanted this dead ass 4 months ago, which we did not get. And we still don't know when we're getting it. We're getting it at a time. We're getting it.
We're getting in BO6
when we get the date for the World Series of Warzone $1 million Grand Final LAN tournament or the location of said tournament. But we don't have updates on that either. It'll be somewhere at some time. Got it.
Yeah.
We're getting MW2 one-shot snipers at a time. At a time. That's all we know. In the future. Not now. Cool. Hey, when are we getting Warzone Big Map ranked? At a time. Okay? I hate this company. I hate them. This is barely better than not saying anything at all now. Because I used to be like, oh, cool, communicate with us at least. But you have to give us something. You can't communicate that you have no information to give me. That doesn't count. That's a loophole, and stop bullshitting me. This doesn't count as communication, saying you're going to do something at a time. Doesn't count. Tell me when. Give me a rough timetable at least. But classic Activision.
Yeah.
So got it. And then last thing here, it's kind of cool. And for those of you who have Xbox Game Pass, I guess you may already know this, but Call of Duty MW3 is now available right now on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, PC Game Pass, and you can get the campaign if you have Xbox Game Pass console tier.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool.
The first Call of Duty on Game Pass.
But
wow.
Yeah. For the next game, we'll have it on Game Pass as well. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Also some things from COD updates. They fixed the buy station distribution on Urzikstan, as I mentioned earlier. They did that earlier today. It was messed up. So I'm pretty sure that's why there were 8 buy stations at Military Base and then like none at all in Low Town or Old Town, or one of those places just had 0. So they fixed that. The new weapon prestige camo was not tracking correctly, and then they've since deployed a fix for that, so that's working. And last major issue is the scoreboard is not working and still does not work currently at the time of recording. You can pull up the scoreboard in the Gulag. It works after game. It's tracking it correctly, but your keybind just doesn't work when you're in a match. It won't pull up a scoreboard. So interacting with buy stations has been a little buggy too. Where you press the button there have
and
been a lot of little
work.
bugs. Yeah, a lot of little things like that this season. Yes.
Yeah, and speaking of which, now is time for our first impressions. So normally, we do these on Saturdays. But since we've been covering roadmaps on Saturdays, and patch notes don't typically have much new info, although that went a little longer than I was expecting it to be honest, we're going to fold first impressions of this season, our first impressions, our review, into this episode, and we're going to talk about it right this second. So, as always, here are my caveats. These are first impressions. They are subject to change. They probably will change. All the time it happens, literally every time, where we like something at first and then we end up hating it, or vice versa. And then also, this is not an exhaustive review of every single mechanic that's different in the game. This is just what has come to our mind, what has bubbled to the surface that we thought was worth mentioning. So don't flay me alive virtually if you don't like my take. That's fine. You probably don't like most of my takes. Most of you don't. I don't know why you listen.
I don't like you. Yeah.
That's also probably true, but nonetheless, we're going to give you our first impressions. And we've broken this up into 3 categories: good, neutral, and bad. So here we go. Now, also, as some background, I've played a good amount of multiplayer. Already talked about that, and we're not going to talk about it now. And I've played a couple hours of probably, what did we play? 3 or 4 hours of 3 hours, I would say, of Warzone. But I've only played Urzikstan. And then Tanner has played a little bit of that trash LTM, and likewise like 3 hours of Urzikstan. So that's where we're coming from. So to start with the good. Tax stance is still in, is what I've noticed. I'm still seeing people use tax stance. I think it's a cool feature. I kind of always have, not always actually, but soon after launch, I was like, this is actually relevant, which is cool. And now it's been getting like more popular as the game has gone on. Like people are like finally trying it, which is pretty weird, but cool. And in particular, there are 2 builds, I would say, right now that are very common if you're going to tax stance to use. One of which is the Supery, which is what I've been using. And it's still quite good. I don't know how it compares to the new SMG. Again, we will talk more about that once we use it and once the season just kind of goes on longer and other people start using the new SMG. But another thing that goes crazy apparently in tax stance, and this has been making the rounds on the TL evidently, is the Reclaimer, which is the new-ish shotgun. We got this last season, and you can either use it in pump or semi-auto. And evidently, you can 2-pump people from a decent range with tax stance. Now, this isn't exactly a Season 5, development, but it kind of is, because I didn't see anyone talking about or using this until today. So tax stance is still in, and that's interesting. And I'm very curious to see what the hip fire and tax stance spreads are on the new SMG. Because if I can tax stance that sucker and it's a tight little reticle butthole like the Superys is, yum. Yum.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about how the tax stance is on it.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Yeah. So this isn't Super Season 5 related, that most of them will be, but I like that tax stance is being used, but not everyone's using it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, next. This actually might be my favorite first impression, or the most good thing so far. Superstore is a new POI they added to the game.
Yeah, it's new to the map.
That is not the good thing. We'll get into it. However, they placed it right above Lowtown. And that has made Lowtown, for the first time ever, I would argue, a hotspot. And it is really fun and refreshing and novel getting in a bunch of gunfights in Lowtown, because I got in more gunfights in Lowtown yesterday, and I'm dead assed, than I have ever before in all of the days before yesterday. And I'm not kidding. I got in more gunfights yesterday in Lowtown than I have the rest of the game's life cycle. You never fight there. It's always at Old Town or Cargo or other places.
You're You're saying Lowtown, but that area you're talking about is not really Lowtown. That's more farms. Lowtown's on the other side of the river. Lowtown is where we landed for 2 seasons straight in Warzone. Those buildings you're talking about are it's technically farms. Like that area, I don't know what I would call it. It's the neighborhood northwest of farms. That's the area he's talking about when he's saying Lowtown right now.
Yeah, you're right. It's not Lowtown. Yes. It's the actual like houses on the west coast of
It's
farms.
the neighborhood of farms, basically. Yeah.
Right.
It's where all the farmers live.
It's the commune.
They can't afford
the living
it. They're
quarters
living
of the
under
commune.
bridge. Yeah.
Yes. That area has never been hot ever, and now it's every game you can get in gunfights there because Superstore is right next to it, so people just walk down from Superstore.
They do a walk. Yep.
So like there's all this activity now. It's really fun, and it's really cool, and it's really refreshing. This is where the first impressions part comes in. Is it a genuinely good area to fight around? I think it is. It feels like it is. But I need to play it more to be sure. I don't know. But right now it's fun because it's not obviously terrible and it's very new and refreshing. It's basically like another map, actually, because I've so seldom fought here before. And it's really been fun.
It's a fun little area to fight because it's all those smaller buildings. So you kind of run into those buildings, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. None of the buildings are very overpowered and strong compared to others. They're all kind of similar. They're just fun little buildings to fight in. So yeah, it is an area that wasn't real hot. And then even just because Superstore is there too, like to regain yesterday, I landed up at the church and grabbed a scavenger contract. Like I've been to the church a decent amount of times, up on the hill between Millie and Farms, but it's like I'm now landing there to regain a spot that you wouldn't normally drop at beforehand. So this is what's nice when they make map changes like this. You start playing in areas you didn't used to play in because they generally weren't hot, and that's usually what we like, to fight a lot of people off rip. We like to go where the people are. And so like I like that because of the same reason, because you're starting to fight and see new areas. And I've always been there, but now you're just appreciating them more.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is what we talked about last season. Like if you're going to change a POI, number one, in an engaging and interesting and substantive way, not adding green puke and then underground caverns no one cares about to pop up power, which was a pretty popular POI anyway. Just a massive miscarriage of fun with that update to the map. But add it to somewhere where no one is going. And you guys have all the analytics and all the data. I'm sure you have 1,000 different heat maps for where people tend to drop, where people tend to die, where people tend to spend their most time. You guys know all of this information. So look at where it's cold on your map where no one plays, and then do a map update there. And they kind of did that with where they put Superstore. There was nothing there, so probably wasn't very hot because there's nothing to do there. But they also put it next to an area with a lot of buildings where gunfights can be fun, where no one also was. Did they do it on purpose? Probably not exactly. But I like it. It's been really cool.
Yeah, after having it in that area, I definitely prefer it there than if they were to put it where I talked about would have made sense in downtown. Because downtown I've been to thousands of millions of hundreds of times. So I like that it's in that area now.
Yeah. So I was not expecting that. I was not anticipating.
Yeah.
I didn't think of people are going to eventually rotate out of Superstore. Is that a good thing? And yes, it is based on where they put it. So that's been really cool. Next is the new gun, the STG. So I'm loving the STG. We didn't really talk about it. Now we're going to. I think it is fun and exciting, and it's also pretty balanced actually. It might be a bit overtuned, but the TLDR on this gun is it handles pretty well. Recoil pattern, pretty easy to control. You can put a 50-round drum on it. Hits pretty hard. Has an extremely fast time to kill inside of its first damage range, which is pretty short, and it drops off precipitously. So in other words, kills really fast up close doesn't kill too fast far away.
Kills slow far away, yeah.
But unlike the MCW conversion kit, you can at least hit people far away because it's the damage that suffers. It's not the velocity that suffers, which I think makes it more viable on big map, despite the fact that it's going to kill pretty slow at longer damage ranges. In other words, again, it's fairly balanced in my opinion, and it's fun being able to use a full auto gun in Warzone. And that doesn't feel like trash to use, by the way, because it also sounds really good.
It sounds good. It feels good. It's one of those chunky, really tasty guns. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they will nerf it. Yeah, unfortunately.
They will
because it's killing like faster than SMGs up close, so they will nerf it. And then people won't use it because then it's going to be horrendous at range and then okay up close. And then somebody will just use a gun that's okay up close and okay at range, like the Holger 26, for example. So, yeah, really fun gun. I'm not looking forward to them destroying it, though. It's a great little change of pace, it feels like. I like it a lot.
They will, yeah, I agree. They will be nerfing it, for sure. Probably pretty soon. And honestly, they do need to change it. But what I think they should do is make the time to kill inside of its first damage range a bit slower than it is now, because it's killing faster than subs a lot. And then also make the time to kill faster at long range. Let's just even that out a little bit. Little too crazy. Maybe. I would need to think about it more, and I would need to play more, to be fair. But right now it is fun and exciting. So that's nice. And I would also add that gun probably goes absolutely bonkers on Rebirth.
Yeah,
it must be so good on that map.
That's where it would feel broken, actually, is specifically on Rebirth. Yep.
Yeah.
Where you're not feeling those really long damage ranges as often.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're still getting hit markers, so you get your SR because the velocity's great.
SR. Yeah.
So it's, just probably, probably super overtuned. So abuse that while you can, if you're going for rating. And then last good first impression here for me. There are some new attachments that are unlockable only through the armory system, but you can't go to armory challenges to queue them up to unlock them. You have to go into your gunsmith and then into your underbarrel or suppressor category respectively, and then scroll to the very end of the list, because why would you put it at the front where it's convenient, and then queue it from there and only from there. That's the only way I know how to unlock these. They're not tied to the new guns like most new attachments have been this year. I don't know why. They're done this way. So I don't know why they're doing that. That's not my good first impression. That's a bad first impression. Oh, wow. Terrible UI, terrible system. However, the attachments themselves evidently are quite good. Unfortunately, I didn't know they existed until I was playing for 2 hours and I wasn't working on them. I was unlocking EMP grenades instead, because that's what did show up in my armory unlock system, even though these are also armory unlocks. Got it. Terrible UI. But they, despite not having used them myself, everyone's talking about these. Everyone's yapping about these on the TL. The new suppressor, basically, it's got few downsides, and it helps a ton with recoil control. But unlike a muzzle brake, it also keeps you off minimap. So people are very excited about that. And then there's a new underbarrel, which I believe is called the paracord grip.
Yeah, I believe
and this is supposedly the new RUIN heavy support for reasons I don't really know yet.
You are fake news.
Yeah, it seems cap to me. I haven't tried it yet, but I saw one person say that on the TL. I go and look at the stats. Not even close to being at the level of the RUIN heavy underbarrel, and also it doesn't give you firing aim stability, so it will be worse. Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe
so
for
it just
some
has fewer downsides, basically.
Yeah. So maybe for some guns it would be better off that way, but for the guns where you actually want recoil control, that's certainly not going to be the attachment.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe they won't end up being relevant, but if they are,
The
then I
suppressor
think
might
that's
be.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, suppressor might be. So, all right. So next section, neutral. Back to Superstore. Okay, this might be a hot take. I don't know.
I agree with you.
Yeah, Superstore itself, the POI. So I just talked about how well they placed it and how good it is for the surrounding area and therefore the map. I stand by everything I said there. This is a separate point. Superstore, the POI itself is fine.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not the MFAM barbecue.
They've changed little things and a lot of those little things. Yeah.
They have.
It's different.
Yeah.
It does not feel like Verdansk Superstore at all to me.
It
at
really
all.
Doesn't. Yep.
It does nothing for me. It feels like a good POI on the map. Does not feel like Verdansk Superstore whatsoever.
Yep, and that's what I wrote.
It
feels almost nothing like it did in Verdansk. It does not make me nostalgic at all.
Yeah, 100%. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, like you said,
it's like vaguely familiar.
It's exactly neutral. It's not a bad thing. It's not a great thing. It's just we're pointing out it does not remind us of Verdansk whatsoever. Yeah, like I kind of thought it might.
Yeah,
it does not.
I thought it would too. I thought I was going to get way more like nostalgia or...
Bro was going to do a cum tribute to Verdansk after seeing it, huh?
Well, no.
Okay.
I wasn't going to go that far, but I thought I was going to feel anything, but I don't. I feel nothing when I land on Verdansk. I feel empty and hollow when I feel on Verdansk. It's not bad. It's not good. It doesn't feel familiar. It doesn't remind me of Verdansk. It doesn't feel like old times. It feels very different. I'm not really sure why. Part of it is definitely because there were a lot of little things that were changed. That's true. Mainly on the outside, which is arguably where you're going to be spending more time, especially if that's where you're hot dropping. Most of the time you're on the roof, and a lot changed on the roof. Because now the
roof doesn't feel like it's not super roof at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's like I feel like there's more cover than there was on the Verdansk roof, which might be a good thing. I don't know though, but it doesn't feel familiar on the roof. But there are also more zips down into the interior of Superstore, which I don't remember existing before. And then there are probably more zips to the like edge of the building, which there should be, to be fair, but still it just doesn't feel like familiar at all. And then inside, I think the layout's the same.
Generally the same layout, but it doesn't remind you of it or feel like it at all. Yeah. I can see things. That's the first, that's kind of the first difference.
Right.
But even like, I think some of the little outside areas, like the little break rooms or something, just weren't there before. Because either it looks so much different that I literally forget that existed on Verdansk, or they changed a lot. Because it feels way different to me in some of those areas. I haven't really been downstairs in the hot areas often at all. Another thing, I never went through it, but the back window where everybody landed, Jake said they made it a lot smaller, and now it's hard to get in that window. Also, because of the placement of Superstore on the map, you will virtually never get a flight path that will have you coming from the east where you can land in that back window, because that back window is on the east side of the building. And because Superstore is on the northeast side of the map, you don't really, at least none of my flight paths you've been able to land there anyways. I mean, of course you could angle yourself around and do a little spin and everything,
Skill
but
issue.
It's not like on Verdansk where you can simply jump out and go directly towards the back window and hop in. So that's kind of one big thing too, but yeah, I don't know.
That was a very popular dropping
That
strat,
was the spot almost everyone went. Yeah.
Right.
So doesn't feel like Superstore whatsoever, but it's a good POI and a great addition to the map.
Yeah. Well, it's a fine POI. I don't know. I got to play it more, I guess. I mean, the gunfights there have felt, for reasons we'll get into.
Ton of loot. Ton of loot.
Not great. But yeah, the loot is good. Yeah. It's not as crazy as it was on Verdansk.
Well, I mean, it's a high value loot zone. if you go down inside, there are rare chests everywhere. I got a supply box UAV. I think there were 15 rare chests inside of the building when I saw it. So it goes bonkers.
Okay.
But
that's fair.
I don't know if there's a buy station on it yet. If anyone in chat has played since they fixed the buy station placement, let us know, because the POI is also kind of ruined without it. Sure, you usually find portable buy stations, but if another team is there and they find like 2 or 3 of them and take them and leave, then you're not going to be able to buy there, unfortunately, and you have to leave, which defeats the entire purpose of a hot drop spot on the map like that.
Yeah.
At a buy station, maybe there already is one. I don't know. Okay, so there is a buy. Dude? It's inside. That's where it is on full map too.
Cringe.
Horrible placement. I'd rather actually have it out in the parking lot.
Would make this feel a lot more like the Verdansk Superstore is if they put a buy in the same spot in the parking lot. Because remember how many gunfights would take place between the front door, the roof of that side, and the parking lot itself on Verdansk? A ton, because there was a buy station there. But now, since, well, at least yesterday, or apparently now, because there still isn't a buy station there, there's no reason. Why would you ever stand in the parking lot? Unless you're terrible, you wouldn't just stand under a giant building where everyone has a fantastic line of sight on you, obviously, with minimal cover. There's no reason to be in that parking lot without a buy there. So if you have a buy there, you create a bunch of fights in that area, which is what happened in Verdansk. And it was like, it was in a precarious enough position to where you kind of had to control super before you go there, which made the fights there fun, because you would either have to wipe everyone else or chase them all away before it was safe enough to hit that buy, because it was in kind of a precarious spot. And then meanwhile, there would be a lot of fighting in that vicinity, because maybe you try to sneak a buy or whatever. But now we've landed Superstore. I've been at Superstore a lot, have not shot or seen or been at that whole front side, which I'm very familiar with from Verdansk, once, because there's no reason to without a buy there. And apparently, according to our chat, after they fixed the buy stations, they didn't put one there. They put it inside the store. That makes it an incredibly safe buy, so that makes landing there an even more attractive proposition, especially if it's a high value loot zone, because it's going to be an easy buy once you control the POI. You're not going to get rolled up on by anyone, but you're not going to see those gunfights out front. And that's not the end of the world, but it's not going to feel like Verdansk at all if you don't have that.
There's also more cover out front now, so they could easily put a buy station there. There's way more cover than there used to be. And the thing about having it inside where it's safe is like, okay, so we buy a loadout, so we either throw it and it lands on the roofs, and we have to run outside or take one of the zips up or do whatever. What if another team is on the roof already? It just feels like a weird spot. Because if it were outside and there was a team on the roof, at least we'd have to fight them to get a loadout. But it's like, now I almost feel like your loadout could get camped that way, or you just go outside and throw it on the ground, and then if somebody's on the roof anyways, they just start shooting down at you. It just feels weird to have it inside. Like, if they're going to do it inside, just do it like right by the front doors or something where it's closer to an outside area. Seems like the gunfights would feel more natural that way. I don't know.
I wonder where inside too, because
it's like right in the middle if it's how it was on Resurgence.
So that would be pretty trash for another reason. What if that's my closest buy? Now I have to like run all the way inside.
Yeah.
And like get my grocery list out. Like, bro, put it like close to the outside.
And there will be 20 people inside, but don't worry, you will definitely hear all of them running around. All of them you will definitely 100% hear.
Surely. So, anyway, So, the area it's in is good. I'm very glad it got added to the game. I think it helped this map tremendously, but not because of the POI itself. Rather, because of where it was placed. I think that is actually the biggest positive that Superstore being added has, but it's not a bad POI by any means. It's fine. So anyway, unfortunately, this next point will not sound like it's related to season 5, but it in fact is. I have been running Combat Scout lately rather than Flex or High Alert. Again, for reasons I'll get into. But I've gotten off High Alert because people are not sniping as much anymore. People are still using sniper rifles in Call of Duty Warzone, which is good. They are not using them as much as they were when the car was busted, or even late season 4, which I would argue is also good, because there were a lot of snipers and it was getting a little old. But some people are still sniping, which I like. I like when people are using a variety of weapon types. I think that makes the game more fun and interesting, and it varies your gunfights more. So I feel like a good proportion of people are sniping now, given all of the car changes and, you know, the STG being added, all the other weapon changes. So like the mix of ARs versus snipers, I feel like at least yesterday it felt really good to me. That's like my favorite kind of proportion. So that's been actually, I put this in neutral, but the more talking about it, I would say that's actually kind of a good thing. But anyways, because fewer people are sniping now, I've gotten off high alert and started using Combat Scout. And I got this idea from Ranked Resurgence when we were playing a couple days ago. I think someone else was using it and they just torched us through smoke. And then we watched the kill cam and realized, because they were Combat Scout users, we were like, dude, that seems really good. Yeah. We should try that. Now, keep in mind, this is perk slot 4. So you're giving up, again, high alert or flex or ghost or something to run it. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it on a Rikistan. And it's really good.
It's cool.
And fun.
Yeah, it's
and
dope.
I've been using it. Now, again, this might not sound like it's related to Season 5. It is. But it's surprisingly valuable for the obvious reason that it helps you kill people in smoke, because you get a hit marker and then they stay pinged for 20 minutes. So then you can keep shooting them. Duh. But also, one thing I really have been enjoying about it that you won't immediately think about is, let's say you're in a building looking out a doorway and there's some guy 5 meters outside the doorway and you guys are in a gunfight and you both like peek and do some damage and then you take a line of sight and then you are waiting for him to re-peek, or you're thinking about re-peeking or whatever. If you have Combat Scout, you automatically win these gunfights now, because you know exactly where that dude is and he doesn't know you know. And I've won like 4 gunfights that I may or may not have won without Combat Scout, that I definitely won because I had Combat Scout yesterday in scenarios exactly like this. I would shoot a guy, he would shoot me. Do I plate? Do I push? Do I reload? Do I just pre-aim? I don't know. I don't know where the guy is. Wrong. I'm running Combat Scout. I see him running back to the doorway and jumping. So instead of like line of sighting to go plate or wondering if he's going to be back or not, I'm just pre-aiming and I'm like, I'm ready, bitch. And they jump and you just instantly melt them. Wall hacks, actually. It's really good. Really strong in those scenarios, which is obvious once you start using it, but it's not something you think about right away. And it's been really enjoyable, in addition, of course, for late game, being able to shoot people through smoke. Really good, really fun. You guys should try it on Rebirth and on Rikistan, I would say. And you were using it really on Rikistan too, right?
Yeah, I was using it too. Realistically, I think if you're playing like quads or something, I don't know if everybody needs to run it. But if you're shooting at other people,
one person pinged per player, so that does make it still maybe worth using for everyone.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I've been using it, but yeah, it's because flex is almost useless now. But it's really good. I like it. Nice little change of pace. Nice tracking people through smoke, shooting them. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. And then last neutral point, I will just point out the weapon meta. So short range seems like Super-E and the new SMG, so fine. But that hasn't really settled yet. Not that the long range metal has settled yet either, to be fair, but it seems like the long range, we've got a couple weapons in the conversation, meaning the Pulemyot potentially the Eradicator, potentially, the STG, pending weapon balance changes, and I think still like the Subverter and the SVA too. Long range full auto meta looking pretty varied, and maybe MCW also looking pretty eclectic, which is interesting. Now, I don't know if this is true. I would need to look at more numbers and play with things more and see what other people are kind of working with more. But just something to kind of keep your eye on. There are a lot of potential long-range meta candidates right now.
Yeah.
So
maybe
just something to note. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The Eradicator's really good on paper, but the gun just feels weird. It feels really weird with that low fire rate after this first shot. So I don't know, but that one, like on paper, would be the meta right now.
Yeah. Yeah. The hyperburst is weird, and the sustained recoil control is unusable. You can't fire like 30 bullets. It's literally like uncontrollable.
But I don't know about, well, I guess you've tried it. I've never really built one to use. I've only used the ground loot ones. So I wonder how it would feel with like a Casus break, Jack glassless, because I feel like the last time you probably used it was before we had those attachments in the game that really helped with like firing, aim stability, visual recoil and stuff. It might feel better now than it used to. Because I remember, because I think it was season 1 or I guess early on in season 2 that it was, some people kind of used it, and I hated how it felt. I hated it, but
that's a fair point. There are a lot better attachments now. Yeah. So something to keep in mind. Yeah. So anyway, on to last and least the bad. So my first note, quote, audio is italicized, chalked, and this is the worst part of the new season. The audio is ruined again. We're back to bog standard, run-of-the-mill, typical, I knew it was too good to be true, trash Warzone audio. It's bad. It's not good. I don't know why, but it could be the audio has always been bad in that area of farms, and we just didn't know it, and there's a bunch of occluding happening. And that is why the audio feels terrible, because I've spent the most of my time on Urzikstan at Superstore, which is a new POI, which probably has terrible occlusion, and that area, which no one ever went to before, so the devs didn't know they needed to fix the occluding there. That is my theory and my hope for why the audio seems dog shit this season, but it is horrifically bad. I've never heard anyone on the roof of Superstore, not one time ever. I've heard people sparingly inside of Superstore, and also again on that west bank of farms, all those little houses right before you cross to hit the water, the river or stream or brook or whatever. Those buildings, awful audio as well. Again, Tanner and I were playing quads. We killed a bunch of people. Some of us died. It was a whole thing. And then we have like one guy down who's selfing, and that's it. So we're about to be done, we thought. So lag like goes to thirst him. And then all of a sudden there are two of his teammates on the roof, and we didn't hear them balloon. We didn't hear them flying through the sky like perjuring falcons, and we certainly didn't hear them parachute, and we didn't hear their boots land on the roof, and then we were all dead. No audio,
and none of us heard.
For any of us.
Four of
none
us
of
there.
Us.
Yeah, it was weird.
All of us were there, and we all said the same thing. Where's the audio? Terrible. Not a one-off, unfortunately, not a fluke. Audio is trash. I'm hoping, again, this is an occlusion issue that is tied to certain areas of the map so that they can fix it more easily, because if not, I'm going to be a sad panda.
Well, I mean, Honestly, I don't really know if it's that much worse than last season, because last season it was ruined again too. So it hasn't been good since season 3. So to me, it kind of just seems like how it did last season. Superstore seems bad, but I don't know if that's just like the height difference or if there's actually issues with like Superstore because it's a new POI. I can see that being the case, but the audio everywhere else just feels like it did last season to me, which isn't good. And it was perfect in season 2, 3, whenever that was, and it was really good. And then it just started sucking again in season 4, and now it still sucks.
Yeah, interesting. Season 4, like, I played mostly Rebirth season 4, and the audio seemed fine.
You also didn't really play the second half of last season because you were dying, so you didn't play for basically like 4 weeks.
Yeah,
and it
that's
felt
also
really
true.
bad, or it was still bad for all of that.
Okay. Well, that's not good news then.
I'm not expecting anything to be fixed because nobody talks about it. Because people don't pay attention to changes like that. Everyone just thinks it's exactly the same when it's obviously not.
Yeah. So, and then my next note in the bad section here, quote, anti-cheat is italicized, chalked. I'm not kidding. And plus I'm dead assed. I want to say, and I'm not going to exaggerate. I want to say we not only was there a cheater, but we encountered at least one cheater in like 60% of our games yesterday. I swear to God, people be cheating lots. One of them was extremely obvious. All of us said the same thing. Oh, this guy's cheating. Just blatantly walling in the kill cam. Blatantly walling. So then we all did a spam report plus spectate. And then he like started pretending he wasn't cheating and was just playing terribly. And it was hilarious because he's Biffle in the kill cam. And then I'm spectating him and he has 8 brain cells. Okay, kid.
Yep.
Who are you fooling? Not me.
He doesn't even know how to move.
Shit.
He was literally, you could tell he was pretending not to be cheating because he saw a guy in the gulag and he saw what way he ran and then he ADS'd another direction, acting like trying so hard to pretend that he wasn't tracking that guy, but the guy was in the middle of his screen and then he looks the other way thinking he's coming from there and then it's like he gets caught off guard and then he kills the guy though. He still gets the kill. Like he actually, it was so obvious. And this sounds crazy maybe to some of you, but this is a thing. Like I've watched TikTok lives before. This is what I was telling them yesterday when we were playing. And this guy in a TikTok live literally said when I was there for the 1 minute I was watching it, he was like, we have spectators. So they were top prison. They were playing Rebirth ranked. He was like, we have spectators. Do not look down. Do not look down. Don't make it obvious. No. Stay looking ahead. And they did. And you see everyone down below them through the wall. But they were smart enough to know we have spectators. If these guys all start reporting us, we're going to get shadow banned or permaban. And so he didn't. And they would just kind of act like they would get caught off guard. So that is what people do when they have spectators. That is a real thing that happens.
So if you want to grief someone you suspect of cheating, spectate them.
Wait, when did we die? When did I die to that level 49? That was aimbotting. Was that yesterday or was that might have been when we were playing ranked before season 5 came out? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Remember there was some guy that was literally just botting and used level 40 something and I reported him twice and then he got kicked.
I think
maybe that was
season
ranked.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think that was ranked. Yeah.
That was a funny one too.
That was fun and exciting, yeah. But I'm
immediately
convinced a lot more people than just that guy were cheating yesterday. It feels like everyone is extremely aware and cheating. And it's not fun or exciting. Fix the anti-cheat. But this is not going to change, and this is not new for Season 5. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update in case you were under the misapprehension that they were going to update Ricochet, or we were going to get a little Ricochet blog post. You guys remember those? Ricochet update. We added new griefing features. They just stopped doing that months ago. Haven't heard from Team Ricochet in a while. Wonder what they're up to.
I feel like they put one out last season. Working. Was that all the way back in Season 3?
I don't remember one in Season 4, no.
They put them out periodically, but...
Oh, yeah. every periodically. Like every era of the dinosaurs. We got one of the Pleistocene era. So we'll
Okay,
get the
here's
next
one,
one
April 10th.
in the Jurassic era. Ricochet.
Yeah, I wonder when the last one was. It might have been back in April.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, if you thought the anti-cheat was going to get better, it's not. And then we have one more little item here from Tanner.
Oh yeah.
This is an interesting note. Tell me about this. I'm not sure
they added
I'm
weapon trade stations to Urzikstan. Of course they didn't say anything about it. Get them off my goddamn map. There are 100 of them on the map, and all it does is clutter my map up. I do not care. I don't care where they are. I'm never going to use it ever. They just have to give us a toggle in future war zones to just remove shit like that I don't want. Because I never, ever care where a weapon trade station is on big map. Not once ever will I care. And they are all over the place, and it just clutters up my map and then makes it harder to see other things like buy stations or vehicles that I might actually... It's annoying. We don't need them. We don't need weapon trade stations, period, on big map, and we certainly don't need them showing up everywhere on the map. So it's really annoying.
I wasn't annoyed with them, but there are a lot of them, and there is an icon for everyone. That's true. So this is something that might start annoying me later on, but it wasn't annoying me yesterday. But as for so first of all, yes, we need to be able to open the map and have a toggle for every type of icon we do or do not want to see, because I'm never picking up like intels. So let me untoggle them to clear up the icons on my map, obviously. If that were the case, if we had that, then this point would be moot, because we could just untoggle them if you don't want it, keep it toggled if you do, or toggle it on when you really want a weapon trade station. Even if you don't think you ever will, you'll have the option. However, as for the weapon trade stations themselves, I actually like having them on big map. I don't use them very often, but I mean, for example, one time yesterday I landed and I looted somewhere that was already looted. So the only thing I found was like, it was a Moors, I think, like a ground loot Moors. And I was like, oh, I don't want this. But so I weapon traded it, and then I got a full auto M16 and like a portable radar. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's dope.
And $800, yeah, that's usually what it is.
And like $800 or whatever, yeah. So, so I like having the stations themselves, but yeah, there should be an icon toggle, of course. So, yeah. W.
Verdansk is basically back.
Verdansk is back. Yeah, Superstore totally feels exactly like Verdansk. Anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Couple quick announcements here. Welcome to our new patron, the Ghetto Man 1. Okay, all caps, by the way. That's a creative Patreon name. The Ghetto Man 1. Welcome, the first one, the first Ghetto Man in our Patreon.
Well,
our new, yeah, probably not, but
got more. Our
newest one, at least, our newest gold patron. Thank you, brother.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. Did you say Bates?
Yeah, no, I
didn't say Bates. I didn't. Thank you, Ghetto Man, for joining the Patreon. Patreon.com/thedropshot, our newest gold patron. We appreciate you, buddy. We do have some fire Patreon bonus eps cooking. We were going to record one of them on Wednesday, yesterday. No, Tuesday, but we didn't, because we're pieces of shit. But I'm really glad we didn't, because we were going to do our mixed bag episode. One of those things we were going to talk about is tax stance and how that has just tax stance. I have so much to say about tax stance.
You love tax stance.
I'm a big tax stance guy, dude. I think it has implications for this game, for future games. There's a lot of cool stuff about it. Anyways, I'm going to talk more about it in that mixed bag episode, which we were going to do on Tuesday, but I'm really glad we are lazy pieces of shit, because now I've been using tax stance a lot more since then, and I've learned about the reclaimer pump in tax stance, which I will be trying. So it actually turned out to be a good thing, in my opinion, that we did, postpone it, because now I'll have a lot more context for that portion of that mixed bag episode. And we have some other little micro topics we're going to talk about there. And then something on season 5 as well. That's also cooking for the Patreon. Our other gold episode we have already released for all of our patrons, which was season 4 in review. About 2 hours. Talked all about season 4, how good it was, how bad it was, how impactful it was. I, again, really enjoyed that episode, but we've already talked about that. And then last announcement, reminder, all of our patrons are invited to Rebirth Island Customs this Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. It is, yeah. We're going to play custom games against each other, and it's going to be fun. So if you want to shoot me or be on my team, be a patron, come to the Hangout, link your Patreon account to your Discord. There's a guide in the Discord on how to do that. It's very easy. And it's not too late. If you are not a patron and you feel like you missed out, you didn't yet, you could become one still, and then you can come play with us. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So be there. That's it. Stay humble.
Stay humble.